Beautiful, shiny people. I'm kind of back. I wanted to get this video recorded because the further I get from what happened, the less I remember. Something really great about my brain is it rarely retains memories. So once I move past something, it doesn't really come up in my head, and I'm grateful for that. But I was noticing as I was in the shower, I was like, wow, I don't really remember all of the details anymore. And I made that post on Instagram that Western medicine saved my life. And I was like, how lame to do that to people in that community, which I love, and then like not follow through on what happened. Because I feel like I'm still in the middle of processing and getting all of the gifts from the experience, that's kind of why I kept postponing. But that being said, I can always do a follow-up video, right? So I am sharing this health experience through my lens. This is only through my lens. My prayer and my vision is to live this life through my authentic way of living, which means like all the external programming that could come from society or parents or whatever. My spiritual practices is being aware of them, removing them, and then moving more and more into a greater sense of consciousness freedom. And as I raise my consciousness, as I become more aware of negative programming, then I literally raise in my vibration. And then the things that I desire or want to manifest in my life, I just float right into them because I've raised my vibration high enough to where it now resonates. So basically my end game with like everything I'm doing and focusing on is I get these visions of things I want in my life, things I want to experience. I know that I'm limitless and I know that I can get them if I raise my vibration. So I get motivated and then I focus on myself, right? So like, I'm not going to be super accurate with the timetable because I just don't remember time that way. But let's say a handful of months ago, I had a really, really strong vision of what I wanted, like what my next chapter was going to look like. Kind of feeling like the camera's super high. And as I was thinking about this, yeah, the camera was pretty high. I was thinking about this shit and like, what do I want to experience and what do I want to manifest, and then writing it all down. And the way that I move through the raising of my own awareness is I believe that my thoughts and my beliefs are creating my reality. So I try and track every single thought I have. And if it's one that has a negative or, a heavy vibration to it, like let's say I'm just doing mental talking around an incident that happened that made me upset and I just start repeating the story unconsciously. I try and become conscious of that and I change the story. I will literally replay the scene in my head like something beautiful just happened. I will remove the 3D reality and just overlay a high vibrational vision, and that will change how I feel emotionally, and then that loop is gone. So I try and be as conscious, consistent and focused on it as possible. I really don't have any distractions out here other than like, animal feeding schedules and stuff. But like I don't, I'm not interacting socially a lot. So I have a lot of time on my hands to really focus on this type of evolution for myself. So this huge vision comes in, and I was aware that there would have to be a massive self-image upgrade on my end in my own consciousness about myself in order to really step into something that big. And I could feel it, and I knew that if I just kept focusing on my vision like it was already in my life, like if I have a vision, I just start overlaying that vision onto the life I have now until it literally becomes 3D. So I'm living in that vision space, and I meditate on it. I become conscious of it. I do like self-narration in my head throughout the day of me talking to different people in my life about how this is already happening for me. And I am pumping up my imagination to actively create my life. sculpting it from the ethereal and turning it into the three-dimensional by living it in the present moment now. And so I'm on this process, and the other part of the story is like 8-9 months ago, I thought I had like a little bit of a UTI, which happens now and again, and I can make the herbs and the remedies myself to heal it, and I've always healed it on my own. You know, I haven't gone to like a Western medical doctor for over 10 years. And at that point, I just had a really negative attitude about Western medicine. So I thought I had taken care of it. I had some symptoms that would wave in and out throughout the past months, because this was like 8 months ago when it initiated. But, you know, I was living my life. I was making my videos. I was making my medicine. It wasn't something that I thought was a health issue. Trying to figure out how to share this story. So, in order for me to get my consciousness to the place that would sync up with my vision, I would have to raise my entire being, right? And whenever I have a really intense judgmental opinion about something that's got maybe anger and sadness mixed in, that imbalance energetically will inhibit me from raising my vibration. So in order for me to get here to here, some stuff's gonna have to get cleared out. Now, I was carrying this, I'm sure you guys have picked up on it, because I even made a handful of videos about it where I was really sharing my judgments of Western medicine. So from when I was a child, from as far back as I can remember, the way that I experience health and healing is that it only like 1 or 2% of the time in my entire life has something actually been physical. And what that means is, like, as a kid, I'd be like, oh my God, something's wrong with my stomach. Like, I can't eat anything. And my parents get really worried and they would take me to the ER. And the second the doctor would do all the tests, we'd be there for hours, and then he'd come in and say his conclusion. He's like, we can't find anything wrong with her. And then the second the doctor would say that, all of my symptoms would vanish. And this went on, year after year with different things. And I just started associating, like, doctors can't help me. Like, you give them all this money, but they literally have no idea what they're doing. I was a small child making a judgment, never feeling seen or understood by these doctors. And I wasn't in a position to see or understand myself either. So I was pissed at them because I'm like, you're supposed to help me, and like, you can't help me. Like, I want to understand why this stuff goes on. So I guess the way that things happen to me physically is that they never really turn out to be physical or detectable. And as soon as someone in a place of authority assures me that it's not physical, it's gone. And then the other part of Western medicine is, number one, the fact that 90% of them have totally disregarded that fact that, like, mind, mental thoughts, emotions play a part of the health and healing. Like, they just do the physical. I just always felt like they were chopping my head off, and it didn't feel healing or right. So I had a bunch of judgments. I've seen, what they do to people when a lot of people come to me to get off of Western medicine because what they've been experiencing isn't healing. It's just masking symptoms. So I felt like part of me was like protecting my clients also by having this judgment. I really justified my judgment towards Western medicine. I was vocal about it. My energy was very polarized inside of me. And it really doesn't matter what the subject is. I don't want to be judgmental towards anything. Everything has its place, and I'm not in a position to judge what that is or what that isn't. And I don't want to carry that signature inside of me. So what manifested, I guess 2 weeks ago now, or I don't know if it's 3, I'm not sure, was I got home from a trip to Santa Fe on a Monday, I think, or a Sunday, I don't know. And I quickly got very, 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 very sick, like very sick. Like, it felt like whatever that UTI that maybe was coming in waves on and off had turned into like the infection was in my blood. And at this point, it was like 6 or 7 p.m. It felt like it really happened like that. And I was losing my ability to do anything. Like my brain was being taken over by this sickness, my blood, I was in excruciating pain. Now the situation I'm in, being solely responsible for all these animals, and then also being in the middle of nowhere, and then also not having health insurance, I wasn't really set up. Like I didn't even really have someone to call, you know? And because it was so deep in my brain, now looking back, I wasn't able to think or like figure anything out for myself at that point. I was looking for external help. I didn't want to go to the hospital because of my insurance situation. And so I went online, and I didn't know this, but I'm guessing this was born from the past 3 years of our global transformation. But you can order a telehealth doctor visit online at any time, 24 hours a day. You can chat about your symptoms, and then they send a script into your local pharmacy, and it costs $50. And the scripts cost me like $40. So it was like 6 or 7 p.m. I'm really struggling. I sign up for this telehealth thing. You actually don't even talk to someone. It's crazy. I just filled out the forms. I told them I may have gotten a UTI, 8 months ago. I think it's really bad now, and I want the strongest medication available. And then I give them my local pharmacy, which is like 12 miles down the road. And I realized, like, okay, it's 7 or 8 o'clock at night, and I have to get through the night without this taking me out. And in the state I was in, I was aware that this was the experience I was going to have that was going to heal me of my judgmental polarity towards Western medicine. And so I was receiving the whole experience as a DNA upgrade. Like, this is going to be that consciousness upgrade I know I needed. This is going to help me heal so many things. There's going to be a chain reaction whenever you have a really strong, energetic, dense part in your being, like I did against Western medicine. It has a string, and anywhere else in that vibrational congruency, once you become aware of one, at least for me, they all pop up. So it wasn't just that awareness healing, a string of stuff that was attached to that strong judgmental anger, sadness, you don't see me vibe I was becoming aware of it. I was being humbled by it. And I was grateful for the upgrade. I was really grateful for the upgrade. And because I knew that this was like a DNA spiritual lesson, I was like, okay, this isn't when I'm going to die. So I made that mental decision, Scarlett, you're not going to die tonight. I think if anyone would have been present, they would have been like calling an ambulance. But I mean, looking back, I think looking back, I'm going to get health insurance. But that being said, I would not make that decision again. I would not make the decision to not go to the hospital whether I had insurance or not. I mean, obviously it worked out, but looking back, what I'm trying to say is I don't believe I made the right decision. I think I put myself at a really high risk doing that, waiting that long. So because I made the decision that I was not going to do anything until my prescription was ready, and I was just going to hang this out, whatever was going on, the level of sickness I felt in my body was so bad. So I have a bunch of herbal antibiotics. I took like 10 times my normal dose. I got a castor oil pack. A castor oil packed my stomach. My fever was going in waves. I actually like fevers. I don't want to say it like I like them, come let me have more, but like I see their purpose, and they have a really intense alchemizing property to them. And so I would go from the castor oil pack, which was heat, and then I would get an Epsom salt bath. And I was just trying to assist my body in fighting what was going on, so the body would win. I'm like, body, you have to win. And I did that from like 9 o'clock at night to maybe 4 or 5 in the morning, just back and forth. I literally couldn't do anything else because I felt like if I fell asleep, I wasn't going to wake up. It was really bad. And I didn't want to worry anyone in my family, so I just didn't tell anyone. Like, I just, looking back, I'm like, dude, you did so many silly things. I've never used this pharmacy before. So I found out that they opened at 8:30. When I think I did fall asleep for a few hours, because I remember waking up and just being like, oh my God, I can't even like feed the cats the cat food. I was so weak and just so unable really to do anything. And my brain, like I was like I just had no brain function. So I got into my suit, you know, it was probably like 0 degrees out, and I fed the horses at 7 and then came back in. I took another Epsom salt bath, which helped again. And then I drove to the local pharmacy at 8:30 when they opened, because I tried to call and it was just this answering service. And I showed up right when they opened and was like, really need that medication. And then they were like, well, you know, this is a small town. We don't really have stuff in stock. We have to order it. And I'm like, fuck me. I was like, so what does that mean timeline wise? And they're like, well, we'll have one of them ready at 3:30 today, and we'll have the other one ready tomorrow at 3:30. And I was like, that's not that bad. And I was actually feeling better. Like the demise that I was feeling when it kicked off the night before, I was like, I can lay down on my couch and wait till 3:30. I knew I could. It wasn't as a dire, stressful situation as I had the night before. As soon as I got the medication, it was really clear that I was going to be okay. Like, I was progressively getting better after each pill. They did put me on a 3rd round of antibiotics. When I have a doctor friend that is in Santa Fe, and I think it was the first day after my medication or the 2nd day, and I emailed her and I was like, look, I have some infection. It's in my blood, so my brain's messed up. Can I tell you what I'm doing? Can you tell me if I'm doing things okay? Like, I'm used to just doctoring myself and treating myself, but I feel like I'm incapable. And she's into spiritual stuff, but she's also a Western medicine advocate. So I thought she was a good match. And through working with her, I have just come to really value the place that Western medicine has in our world. And I'm gratefully humbled to have those really intense judgments out of my body so that I can start stepping into these higher states of awareness and evolve myself. And I think the truth is because it was so intense, the interesting thing was like my body was in love with the antibiotics. I would wake up and my body would tingle with like the excitement of taking that pill. And to get to have that type of an emotional experience with synthetic medication, when I've been so judgmental against synthetic medication, it was such a healing for me. A really strong, humbling, sweet, coming home healing for me. Coming home to my true self, not the self that's been, you know, programmed into judgment or carrying past pain with them, but like my true self, my balanced self. And the more parts of me that come back to that balanced self, the more I get what I want in this world, right? So I wanted to share that because I don't think everyone looks at health and healing that way. And I could offer a new perspective. I'm going to be on like a rebuilding process now to support all my systems to come back online. My energy is already, it's like through the roof. And then the cool stuff, how things like once the shift occurred in my consciousness and I was on the other side of the bridge where I'm like, the infection is, I'm pretty sure like, I feel like everything went so deep that it's going to take me a little while to recover. But for the most part, I'm really out of the woods and I'm on the other side of it, and I got my lesson, and I don't know how many more lessons are to come around this issue with this specific circumstance. I don't know what this whole situation looks like. It's not in my rear view yet. But that being said, because I've already experienced the consciousness upgrade or part of it or whatever, things in my external are already changing, right? So like I immediately, as soon as I started feeling better, I immediately started purging the house. And I mean like 10 huge trash bags of shit and like donating clothes and going through every room and just cleansing. And it looked like whatever had happened in here, I was then applying it to my environment. The house feels like way more open and airy. I have a ton of stuff packed up and put away, and I still have like 2 more rooms to finish, and then I'm gonna power wash the house and get everything super cute. So I'm already watching the ripples move out into the world from that pebble that was dropped into my life. And I do believe, this is my belief, is that anything that happens to us physical like this is super intense, is going to be a massive consciousness upgrade. And in that sense, you know, blessed to have it. So thank you guys for being there and listening to my story. I appreciate it a lot. And happy healing, happy, right. I made the most badass nighttime programming meditation. So the way to really manifest the world you want is to always be implementing into the subconscious mind that vision. That's why I always catch my thoughts. And if I'm thinking something negative, then I'm realizing that I could be impressing that into my subconscious mind, and then that could be manifesting as my reality. I do so much sleep hypnosis with different theta waves so that I'm consciously programming my subconscious mind to get exactly what I want. Well, when all of this went down, I made myself my own little, track to listen to at night, and I do my breathing and my meditation, and I listen to the first 10 minutes of programming, and then I lay down in my bed and I just let the I am affirmations play on loop. And I will be sharing that with you guys soon as well. It'll be a new deep sleep hypnosis. This one is about vibrancy and perfect state of physical health that will then reflect out into the life of your dreams. I feel like 2024 is just going to be this huge year of upgrading for a lot of us. And I know that a friend of mine was just sharing how solar flares are coming in hot. The amount of light that's coming in, it's massive. It's totally massive. And that is such a huge opportunity. Some people could experience these types of physical things because their DNA is upgrading. And if you're someone who won't rest, I know some people, they won't rest, and then their body needs to do an upgrade, and their body's like, I'm just gonna have to lay you down for a week because you're not chilling out, and you gotta upgrade with the earth. So when you allow yourself the time and space to kind of upgrade with the rhythms of the earth, we're attached to her, and she's going through massive upgrades right now. So drink a ton of water, and love you guys.